For those looking to increase their breath hold, one of the best ways to go about this is performing a dynamic apnea. Now, a dynamic apnea is just a fancy term for hold your breath and move. Freediving is one of the best ways to train your breath hold for depth diving, but unfortunately, the ocean isn't always as close as we'd like, and the weather doesn't always cooperate as much as we'd like. But your standard daily walking is very similar to freediving. Your upper body is relaxed while your lower body is using a lot of the same muscles that you use while you're finning. And not only that, your walking pace is very similar to the pace that you kick when you're freediving. All we need to do is hold your breath while you're walking, and we can very closely simulate a freedive. So that's the plan. Hold your breath and walk. But anytime you hold your breath and perform a task, you need to understand that there's risks involved, and it's important that you implement safety to avoid injury. First off, if at any point during the apnea walk you start to feel lightheaded, feel dizzy, or truly just anything out of the normal, it's important to end the breath hold and start performing recovery breaths. Now, if you're new to freediving and you don't know what recovery breaths are, they're basically deep breaths and breathing as quickly as possible so that way we can help with the oxygen exchange and make sure that we get blood to where we need to go and avoid blacking out or anything else like that. So a recovery breath would look like this. So at least 3, if not 5 or more, or as many as you need till you start to feel normal again. Second, it's smart to perform these dynamic apneas somewhere where it's soft, like a grassy area, compared to somewhere like concrete, right? Because grass is going to be a nice, softer landing in case something were to go wrong than concrete. And lastly, it's important not to push deep into the urge to breathe when you're doing these apnea walks. The less you push into these, the less risk you have of blacking out or something like that. And not only that, the less you push, the more you're going to enjoy these. And it's important to know that you don't need to push in order to get results from these. So there's 2 ways to start your apnea walk. First is from a rested position, so either seated or standing, but basically being relaxed and trying to get the heart rate as low as possible. This is going to most closely mimic how a free dive works, and the urge to breathe is going to take a little bit longer to set in. The second option is to actually start your breath hold while walking. Now, since you'll be walking, your heart rate will most likely be a little bit higher than is if you were seated and doing nothing for a while. So the urge to breathe is going to set in a little bit quicker. Starting your apnea walks this way is going to be a little bit easier since you don't have to wait to relax and let the heart rate go down. So it's a little bit easier to incorporate into your daily routine. Your breathing should be normal, tidal breathing, same as you do for free diving, all the way up into your peak inhale. So no big deep breaths in and no forceful exhales out before your peak inhale. Just normal breathing all the way up to your peak inhale. So once you begin to walk, count your steps. This is going to help us quantify how long it takes before the urge to breathe comes. There's kind of 2 ways to go about this. You can either count each step as one individual, right? So it'd be left 1, right 2, left 3, right 4. Or you can count them as a kick cycle. So left, right 1, left, right 2, left 3, left 4. I tend to like to go this way because I count my kick cycles while I'm free diving, and I normally count them as a cycle. Whatever you do, try to do it the same as you would do it while you're diving. Now, just as any sort of breath holding that you do, it's important to focus on relaxation, because as soon as the urge to breathe comes, it's easy for the body to start tensing up. And we want to use this as another exercise to help us while we're free diving. So as we're walking, as we're doing this, scanning through the body, making sure that the entire upper body is relaxed. At no point should the upper body start to tense up. And if it is, most likely we're going to be doing these same things during a free dive. So not only can you train your breath hold while doing these apnea walks, you can also train your relaxation. And all these things are going to translate back into your free diving. And again, take a soft approach with this. The point of this is not to push into the breath hold and see how far you can go or to see how many steps that you can take. The point of this is to count your steps and see at what point does the urge to breathe come, and then you end the breath hold. And then with consistent practice over time, that urge to breathe should come later, and you should be able to get more steps in before that urge to breathe. For beginners, you can end your apnea walks as soon as you get that first light urge to breathe and the breath hold starts to become uncomfortable. End it right then, do your recovery breaths, and move forward. Maybe more advanced people, you could push a little bit farther into a stronger urge to breathe. But again, just know anytime you push farther into these holds, it comes at a risk of safety, especially if you're not doing these with a buddy. So again, take a light approach, keep this soft, and if you're going to push this at all, make sure you have a safety. I like to incorporate these into my daily routine. So I walk my dog every day. Every day I pick the same landmarks where I begin my walks, and then I check where that urge to breathe comes. I think it's super helpful to find a way that you can incorporate these into your daily routine so that you will consistently do them. And remember, consistency is key here, not the intensity of the breath hold. One way that you can scale these exercises is to actually do your breath holds on an exhale. So as you begin to walk, breathe normal, and then exhale your air, hold, and then begin your walk. You'll see that the urge to breathe comes a lot quicker and it comes in a lot more intense. I kid you not, an exhale apnea walk skips a lot of the buildup of the urge to breathe and it just goes right into an intense freight train of that urge to breathe. Not only that, sometimes it can take a little bit longer while you're doing your recovery breaths in order to recover and kind of get back to feeling normal again. That is why I do not recommend this for anybody that's new to it. And that's another reason why you need to be extra cautious to when you end the breath hold and start breathing again. Personally, I like to do these because it's quicker. I don't spend as much time holding my breath and walking. Lastly is a maximum attempt. At some point in your journey of doing this practice and these exercises, you might want to actually perform a maximum attempt, holding your breath and actually pushing it and seeing how far you can go. But it's important anytime you perform a maximum, you implement safety. Whereas a lot of these other things, as long as you're very cautious to when you start breathing and not pushing, you could do these alone. But anytime you do a maximum attempt, you need to implement safety to mitigate those risks. So go to a nice grassy area, have a buddy, do your walks and make sure that your buddy is always within arm's reach in case something were to happen. They can prevent you from hitting the ground or anything bad happening. A maximum attempt is a good thing to do maybe when you start these exercises. So that way you have a baseline of where you started at, then going back to starting to breathe when you get that first urge to breathe. Do that for an extended period of time, maybe 2 weeks, and then perform another maximum. Then you can compare these together to kind of really chart and see your progression. But it's important to remember that anytime you do a maximum attempt, these can be very taxing to the body and you don't want to do them too often. So to start out, I would say every 2 to 3 weeks, and then after months of practice, you could actually start shortening that interval to every week or so. So that's the basics. Try to incorporate these into your daily routine and I can guarantee you will see results. It's important to take a soft approach into this and do not push too hard. We want to develop a positive relationship with our breath holding. Because if we can do that, then these are actually going to be enjoyable. And if they're enjoyable, then you'll keep coming back for more. And if you stay consistent, again, I guarantee you will see results in your breath hold. So thanks for joining in. See you guys in the next video. What's up?
Yo.
Yo.
You at the shop?
Yep.
Can you do me a flavor?
What? How wide? Yeah, that'll fit. It's like, yeah, that'll fit.